When Harry Met Sally, a photography podcast, would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of the lands and waters in which we are recording this podcast on today. As people who work with artists seeking meaning and knowledge through storytelling, we recognise the first peoples of this nation have been doing so for over 60,000 years. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging across Australia. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
None of this is possible without the fantastic help we've had from
Collart. Thank you so much for the support on providing your pod suites. Nikon Australia, incredible ambassadors for the photography industry.
And Ted's Camera Store, also great ambassadors, have been around forever and are doing wonderful work. And A&L Artistic Framers, who have been framing photography and art for as many years as I can think. Thank you all so very much. Well, here we are back for episode 2. How are you, Harry?
I'm really good, Sally. How are you doing?
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
I'm
Very
so
excited about today. I think we say that at the beginning of everyone because
I know. But it is so exciting.
And this one is especially exciting because we were actually rung up. I'm going to tell the story before we introduce our guest. And I was rung up by a lady called Meredith Cusack from the Tweed Gallery. And she rang up and said she'd listened to season 1 of our podcast. And she was wondering whether we might be interested in having a conversation about the Olive Cotton Award. And at first I was thinking, well, there's people listening to the podcast. And second I'm going, yes, is this for real? Is this someone playing a trick? But it wasn't. It was this wonderful woman. We had this amazing conversation. And as you know, the Olive Cotton Award's been going for 20 years. It's their 20-year anniversary this year. So then I rang Harry and then the three of us got onto a Zoom meeting and we had a discussion about how we would go about talking about the award. You know, I was up for coming up to Tweed Gallery and having a conversation. Luckily, we're not at the moment, though, because it's not going too well up there. So let's shout out to the weather and hope everyone's going okay.
Cyclone Alfred, we're thinking of everyone up there.
We are, absolutely. Yeah. So we had this conversation and then Meredith said, how would you like to meet Sally? And I said, Sally. And this is our wonderful guest today who has flown down to be with us. And Sally McInerney, welcome here today.
Thank you very much, Sally.
Sally.
And Harry.
Thank you. And Sally.
I came on the XPT. I didn't fly.
You didn't fly. You came down on a train.
I can recommend the train.
Oh, I love train
Did you sleep?
travel.
Do you have a sleeper?
No, I looked out the window.
Oh, how beautiful.
A lot.
Yeah,
well,
beautiful.
We then had a conversation with Sally, and Sally is actually Olive Cotton's daughter. Moment of wow.
Yeah.
So we are
feel like
absolutely
we're in
thrilled.
Photography royalty
We
here.
are absolutely in photography royalty.
Well, thank you. But, I'm not really a monarchist, but I know what you're saying. It's very nice of you.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up with Olive Cotton as your mum?
Well, my brother and I and all that family knew that she was Olive Cotton as a professional photographer. We'd seen the photos. We had the photographs. In Sydney, Ross's mother had left the farm because the bank had taken it back. The family that my father's family grew up on. She came to Sydney, borrowed some money from a doctor brother she had, luckily, and she ran a little restaurant or cake shop in Mossman for 12 years through the war and put the youngest 4 children through the school and the oldest boys went to the war.
Wow.
So
Can
that
I just
was the
ask who
start.
Ross was?
Ross is my father.
Ross was your
McInerney.
father. Right.
Definitely not Max Dupain.
Is
Although
that
my mother was married to Max for, I think, about 18 months or 2 years. It fell apart.
Okay.
They were different.
Yeah, okay.
So was Ross a photographer as well?
No, he'd grown up as part of a farming family. And then the war, I think, threw a lot of young men off the track. When they came back, 5 years of their lives had kind of vanished into the army. and he just went on being a farmer.
And did the brothers, when the brothers came back, did they come back?
The three of them came back, and they had managed to deter the next oldest brother from putting up his age and enlisting, because they said 3 brothers in one war is enough.
Yes. Yeah.
They were sorry for their mother in particular, who would have, been very, probably continually anxious.
Oh, gosh, you
about
can't
what
even
might
imagine,
happen.
can you?
The oldest brother became a doctor, and my father's brother, Bryce, and my father were kind of a bit derailed. They just became farming people.
So how did Ross and Olive meet?
They met because of the now pretty famous Dupain model, Jean Lorraine,
Yeah.
who's the subject of some very romantic-looking photographs. She was very wonderful. And my mother, who by then was Olive Cotton, working in the Dupain studio with Max as his assistant, not as his fiancée or anything like that, but they knew it. They'd known each other since they were both about 11, and their respective families were friends. That's how they met. And my mother, flipping through some magazine, saw photographs of Jean, and she told me she'd said to Max, we should get in touch with this girl and see if she'd like to come and work for us. So Olive did, and she did come, and she did become a very wonderful model, particularly for Max, and a very good friend to both of them. But the friendship with Olive continued for the rest of their lives. And the way my mother met my father was thanks to Jean Lorraine, who was already at the studio, and pretty soon the man friend who she was soon to marry was Ross's brother, the young doctor.
Ah, right.
And eventually Ross came to visit the city and his beloved brother, and went to the studio, and Olive set eyes on him. By then Olive was already separated from Max. And my father, because Olive was older than he was by 7 years, didn't get very far at first, although he was apparently completely smitten. My mother told me she just thought, he wouldn't be interested in her because she was 7 years older. But no, that made no difference to Ross.
Good for her.
Wow.
So that's how they met, thanks to Jean.
Oh, lovely.
And going back, you could go back forever through the ages, invoke Jean's parents and everything. But that's how Olive met my father.
So he was a country man and she was a city girl. So once they sort of got together, did Olive move to the country then, or did Ross come into the city?
Well, the funny thing is that it would be quite sensible to assume that she went to the country because he was a farmer. In truth, neither of them had said what was expected of the other. So Ross just thought that she would want to stay in Sydney and keep working as a photographer. And she thought she'd move to the country with him because she was ready for a change.
Yeah.
And she managed the Dupain studio on her own all through the war for Max. He was in the camouflage unit with other artists. And it just, Olive said, by the time Max came back from the war, she was ready to leave the studio because it was getting a bit hard to continue being a photographer, I think, as a woman in Sydney. There were a lot of people coming up as photographers, and Max would be back, and she didn't want to work close to him, or, you know, it would have been awkward and
would have been, wouldn't it?
strange
Yeah.
and probably quite painful in a muted sort of way. And she told me that she was ready to go to the country and she wanted to have children in the country, not bring them up in the city. And that's what she did. But it's funny because they hadn't discussed who'd stay and who'd go. They just assumed that each would do the
in that day,
other person's thing.
Yeah.
It was nice that they didn't have a fight about it or anything.
Yeah, it was
People
just naturally
without
happened.
knowing that might just assume that she was a poor, persecuted female who had to follow her man.
No,
It
But she
wasn't
was
like
ready
that.
for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all. I think she had a rather romantic view of the country because she'd grown up at Hornsby with a lovely family and a big family. They were reasonably well off. Her father was a professor at Sydney University, so the children went to private schools and got good educations, especially Olive. And they were very keen on the bushland around Hornsby at the time.
So can I just ask, growing up, was photography a big part of your childhood?
Well, we all knew that Olive took really good photographs, and the camera was a sort of respected and kind of honoured object in the house. I think we would have always known where the camera was in the house, and far from Olive being told, you know, put away your arty, you know, silly things, it was quite the opposite. Ross and other members of the family too would see things that they thought might interest her, maybe out in the bush, and they'd take her to see things. And she took very good portraits of some of that family informally, which probably haven't been seen much, but they're good. I think that her romantic scene of country life was probably pretty well misted with the beauty of coastal life, and she would not have lived through a blazing, terrible drought in the country where you can't grow anything. It's very hard. So she weathered all those things. We all did, and it was actually materially it was a very basic, hard life for adults. But I don't think Olive ever regretted it, because I used to ask her sometimes when I was grown up, and she'd say, no, I always wanted to live in the country with a lot of space around.
And how many children did she have?
Two, my
Just you
brother
and your brother.
and me.
And
Yes.
did your brother go into photography at all?
No, my brother, he's a wonderful person. He's got Olive's temperament, which is very kind, and there's nothing malicious or no note of bitterness about him at all. He's kind and warm, and he's also very funny and witty and observant. But he became a shearer after spending almost 1 year at the University of Sydney in one of the colleges that had places for country boys. And then he became a shearer. And
Nice.
that's what he did for most of his working life.
And of course, you followed in your mother's footsteps and picked up the camera,
Well,
though.
Well, my brother took good photographs too, and he was very good at drawing. And he is married to a wonderful woman who's a very good painter. So it sort of stayed in the family.
Stayed there, their creativity.
I think so.
Yeah.
And he has Olive's camera.
Oh,
Because
really?
I already had bought myself a twin lens reflex camera
I've got
years
a twin
before.
lens I love.
But yes, I thought
so-
it was good for him to have Olive's camera.
Yeah, that's so lovely and generous, and knowing that her camera's still there in the family and being used.
Oh, well, but, it was his too.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
mine or anything.
No, but
We
yeah.
shared stuff. It was very simple.
So you talked about the cameras always being there and really acknowledging that in your upbringing.
Yes.
Was that something that you just were always drawn to? Did you always want to take photos, or?
Well, I did start pretty young because Olive had two very benevolent aunts, Auntie Ethel and Auntie Janet Cotton, and they thought it was great that she had two little children, and they were both very interested in early childhood education, and that's what their work was all their lives. So they gave me a Box Brownie camera when I was about 7 or 8, and I was very delighted and used it. I think the first proper photograph I took with it was when I was at school. I was probably about 8, and the school was called Cucumgilliga Primary School. The population was about 12 or 15 children, and I took a slightly blurred photograph of the lineup of all my schoolmates. The funny thing about it is that, apart from it being very slightly blurred, because box cameras were not, they did that.
Not sharp.
Yeah.
They tended, it was hard to get it right, but they're quite small, but they're looking directly at you, but you can tell that the photographer was really little, about the same level as they
yes,
were.
I get it. Yeah.
And unfortunately, my brother wasn't there that day, or maybe he was playing somewhere. But the way they're standing and not the way school children pose for a grown-up. There's one cheeky little one with one hand down by her side and the other hand on her hip, and she's
Lots of
a
attitude.
jaunty angle, and some are sort of grinning and...
Do we know what the jaunty-angled girl did when she grew up?
I have no idea, but her name was Janice McAllister.
Oh, well,
well,
Janice,
well,
if
yeah.
you're listening, or if anyone out there, you'd just love to know if she turned out to be...
And the teachers' two children were there. One was about 3, but she used to come over to the school and we'd play with her.
How wonderful. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
And I just, yes, I took photographs ever
Yeah.
since getting a camera. And I always have. It's just it's a way of life.
Yeah.
And I was very shy, and I think having a camera meant that I could record things that were happening, and I also used to like to write down things that people did and said, and I kept a kind of journal or semi-diary from the age of 11
Wow.
and took photographs from the age of 8.
Amazing.
It just seemed interesting
Yes.
to me, life
Observing.
and things.
And did you show Olive?
Oh, yes, always.
And
my father and whoever, my
Yep.
brother.
Yep. And they were encouraging and supportive.
Oh, yes. That was all
It's
fine.
so lovely to grow up in a family like that too, isn't it? To have
Yes.
that encouragement and
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
think at that point you might look at a career in photography?
No, I never thought about making it a career. You mean like, how will I make money from it? I never thought about it that way. I thought about things I might do. I went to university on a scholarship, stayed at college, which was good.
And what did you study at university?
I was very bad at maths, so I did languages. I did like languages, including English. And I'd learnt 6 years of French and Latin at Cowra High School. So the Latin could transmute into a study of Italian. And nobody ever failed Italian because the professor was Freddie May, who just didn't
Who was
fail
not
you.
Italian.
No, but that didn't matter. He was as one with Italian. And I did French for a year or two and English,
Great.
and I just then I realised my scholarship would let me do the Diploma of Education free, like the rest of it. So I did that too. So I would have a teaching trade certificate, etc., if I needed to. And sometimes I did go teaching. But once I had rather little children, I didn't. I just looked after them.
Well, there was a lot of them too, wasn't there, Sally?
Eventually there were a lot, so that from 1971, when my daughter Julia, who you've both met,
is here today
was
with
born,
you. Yes.
until 1985, when, very surprisingly, I had twins. The 5 children were spaced out from born in 71 to born in 85. So
that's a big age.
I think it added up to 33 years of looking after children.
Oh, just
instead of
hang on, I'm just getting myself off the floor
outsourcing
right now. Just
outsourcing. I didn't want to outsource them, except to school, of course.
Did the older ones help the little ones?
Oh yes, I suppose so. I mean, I'm sure they did.
And has the love of photography trickled down to your children as well?
There are various members of the extended family who follow photography as a thing they really love. Julia and one or both of her children are keen. Julia's a good photographer. Not that she knows it, except that I would curate and show her what she can do, what she has done. She's quite like Olive in many ways. One of my twins is very, very devoted to photography and to film.
Okay. Are they a professional photographer or just the
nobody
passion?
makes a living.
Yeah.
It's not really part of a plan.
Yeah.
I did other things.
Yeah.
I was a journalist, a reporter for 5 or 10 years, on and off, when the children were little.
Yeah.
Because I could work from home. In the days when you...
Look at you, a trailblazer.
I know.
Working from home.
No, you worked from home, but you'd go into the newsroom at Fairfax. It was wonderful, having all those workmates. It was fantastic when it was going well. And then if you had a difficult time, say a person overseas who you needed to talk to but who didn't particularly want to be involved in making a comment, you'd have to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning and talk over the phone.
Wow.
Sometimes it was wonderful, sometimes it was a situation where I used to think this job is going to kill me just from exhaustion and uncertainties. But I did a lot of writing. Mostly it was writing stuff.
When we were talking before, in the lead up to the podcast, you mentioned an exhibition that you put on called Mother and Daughter.
Oh, that was, I think, in 2014 at Damien Minton's gallery when his gallery was in Redfern. And it was the brainchild, really, of Sandy Edwards, who's a wonderful friend of photographers.
She sure is.
And it was Sandy's idea, and I would not have promoted myself as the bearer of, hey, why don't I, with my mother as main sponsor, attempt this sort of thing. But it was interesting because I, with Sandy and others, thought about how to do it quite a lot. And I saw that what the family we'd already known, were a lot of things that we had particular likings and interests in and had talked about a lot just in the family as conversation things, like a beautiful half-dead tree or the shape of certain maybe flowers and clouds. We appreciated clouds because on a farm you're always hoping for the right clouds to come along.
Yeah.
And it was a very natural thing. Skeleton leaves too. If any one of us, my brother or me or my mother or father, out walking found a particularly striking-looking skeleton leaf, we'd bring it home and look at this one. And so there are photographs of olives that contain some of those things. And I never tried to be the same kind of photographer because we were different types of people.
Absolutely.
And I tended to, I would photograph something that I thought was beautiful, but I also liked rather opportunistic things where I would see strange or interesting things, people happening that people were doing or that light and weather was doing. I used to sort of look for those things, and I always carried a camera with me. It was a great nuisance because a box camera hurts.
A bit bigger than a handbag, wasn't it?
Well, they sort of crash into your hip bone, and you only have, I think it was only 8 frames, not 12.
So I'd like to ask a question now about the Olive Cotton Award. You talk so fondly about your family and everybody seems to get on so well and everybody's creative and supports each other. How did the Olive Cotton Award come about?
Oh, well, the whole family is a very big family and it's a bit more complicated than that, and there are lots of stories that I won't go into now because there's probably not time. About the award, Olive, by the time the Tweed Gallery, according to Joseph Lebovic, who had become Olive's dealer, but mostly agent, guardian and protector, because she was isolated and old and she often needed people to be referred to Joseph about
Had
things.
Ross died by this point? Passed away? Yeah?
No.
No?
Ross was fine. Olive was in her, I would say, very early 80s. I asked Joseph if he could do that, and he did, and that was a wonderful thing. Joseph, round about the time of the beginning of the Olive Cotton Photographic Portrait Award, Joseph knew a lot about galleries. He had heard or been told by the people at the Tweed that they would like or maybe even needed an award to be created and sponsored by someone. And Olive had got to a stage in her late 80s where she was quite frail and forgetful. And eventually she was in the local nursing home at Cowra, which was a community place. And my father, being 7 years younger, was still at home by himself. But Olive's photographs were selling quite well. I knew that my father, and he agreed, and my brother, he didn't need any more cash. The money that came in via Joseph Lebovic from the sales was Olive's money. And talking to my father and my brother, that was all we needed, about the idea of the family with that setting up the award at the Tweed might be a really good thing to do. And my brother and father both agreed that that would be a good thing to do. And that's what we did. And that's how it began. But Joseph Lebovic had such a lot to do with all the fine-tuning.
It's such a wonderful legacy in her honour to have this incredible kind of award and at this beautiful gallery. Yes,
That's true. It is a beautiful gallery, and I think there are wonderful people working there and running it. It would have been a very appealing idea to Olive too, because she was always very encouraging to younger photographers. There were quite a lot of them around the place. Some family, some not. And Olive was just kind and helpful and quietly encouraging. She didn't go over the top and say, what a genius. She would make constructive and helpful
critiques,
observations.
Yeah.
And so we all knew, my father, my brother, and I all knew that she too would think it was a really good idea.
That's so
and she'd be
wonderful.
pleased. One thing about that award is, I would like to say, I have never had any say in who wins, except for the very first time when I was the judge.
Yeah.
And Ella Dreyfus, who I hardly knew, won. And I think that was a very good move because, you know, she does wonderful work.
Yeah.
She has continued it. And the next one will be the one that's coming this year.
This year,
Fortunately, there are 4 of us judges this year. That will be nice.
So are you excited about being back on the judging panel again and looking at all the work?
I like being part of a judging panel. Sometimes it's been books or homeless people's or exhibitions that happen almost every year.
Yeah.
It's all interesting to be doing it with other people.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it by yourself, that's fine too. But the
great
family
being able
does
to
not
talk about it.
have any sway over who goes, what kind or who wins, unless we're a judge.
Unless you're asked to be on the panel.
So on that note, let's have a quick chat about the award. It's $35 to enter. The exhibition's actually between the 17th of August and the 2nd of November, but we are looking at entries close on the 13th of May.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's it. Yeah.
Gosh.
So when this episode goes out, there'll still be another week or so to get submissions together and to enter the award and have Sally have a look at the work. So, yeah.
And I think it has always been a quite friendly kind of exhibition.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no hard line taken anywhere as far as I can see.
Well, that's always a good thing. And I think that I would expect nothing less after meeting you. I don't think I've ever been this silent in my entire life. I have just really enjoyed listening to you, and you just have this peace and calm about you that sounds like it came from Olive as well, that she was very like that.
It's a hard one, peace and calm. I worked on it.
Did you? Gosh, maybe there's hope for me yet.
Me too.
Well, you've done really well. I'm feeling
thank you.
very peaceful. And we could talk to you for hours, Sally. There is just such a plethora of fabulous historical information, not about Olive and about yourself and about her family and your extended family and what's happening now. And I think it's been a real pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you very much. It's been very enjoyable for me. And there is an awful lot more to tell.
Yes.
But not now, because there's a time limit, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sally, we do have one more question that we're asking everybody that comes on the podcast this season.
yes.
And that is, how do you see the future of photography?
I don't really brood about the future of photography. I think it's very good that now any kind of person can usually take photographs if they want to.
Yeah.
I'm not very keen on selfies and all that stuff.
No, I learned that a little bit about 2 hours ago when I tried to do one with you, didn't I? So I have to apologise for that.
With you?
Will you do one now?
Not
Right,
for-
you've heard that.
No, of course.
Okay.
I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
I tend to twitch
That's
when
all right.
a camera
When the camera's turned on you.
But I do love portraits. I've always loved taking portraits and looking at portraits. And so did Olive. In fact, shall I tell you one more?
Yes,
Go on, go for it.
absolutely.
One more interesting thing to me is that for about 20 years, when you read about Olive's life and work in city publications, maybe by people, haven't had the experience of, knowing what it's like to live on a farm and all that. But we had no electricity, no running water for 20 years.
Wow.
And Olive, after she'd finished her time as a maths teacher at Cowra High, opened a studio in Cowra. And for 20 years she took commissions, photographs of local people, and I am looking after all the negatives from that time. They're in very nicely kept files with the names of the subjects on them. And she was all that time doing 20 years' work of portraits of a small, still existing, known community, and everyone in those portraits will have something to say about the photographs. To me, it's like it's a kind of beautiful time capsule.
Oh, absolutely. What years are we talking? What 20 years?
1964 to 1984 or 5.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, that's
And
beautiful.
one of the best is of the Aboriginal woman, Isabel. Isabel was her sister, Jenny Munro, who became, from being a 17-year-old prefect, being photographed by Olive in the studio with the most smouldering gaze. Jenny Munro, as she is now, had that all her life. She still has. And she's a firebrand for her people's rights. A wonderful person. And it's a wonderful portrait. Jenny has a copy. Thank you. I hope that's
lovely.
not too much.
Not at all. It's
right.
been so fascinating listening to you speak, Sally. And I think, like Sally here said, we could talk to you for hours and hours. And thank you just for your time and coming down here and sharing your, some of your story with us. It's been a real honour to speak with you.
It was great fun, and I enjoyed it very much, and I hope others will.
So do we. So do
I'm
we.
sure they will.
And just on your answer about the future of photography, I think that's a really sort of
I forgot to answer that.
No, you didn't forget to answer it. You sort of answered it in the sense that it's not something that I'm really thinking about. You're living in the here and now. Would that be fair to say? Or?
I think photography is a way of living in the here and now, living in the moment. There's no other moment but the one you're in. There's the future, there's the past, but you're in the moment. And your camera can be like your companion, or I think doppelganger, who's always with you. And you and the camera can enjoy solitude, but it's not lonely. If you've got your camera with you, I've got one with me always.
That's
well,
amazing.
Look, Harry and I are up for a portrait if you want to do one afterwards. So here we go.
Well, I love what you said about that in this day and age, anyone can have a camera and take a photo. And I think that's just a testament to the kind-natured person that you are. And
well, for instance,
thinking like that.
The aforesaid Jenny Coe, who became Jenny Munro, has a daughter called Lorna, who is now a photographer and an artist, and she's learnt all that.
Yeah, amazing.
It's good. It's happening.
Well, thank you so much again, Sally. I think we need to wrap it up there.
Which Sally are you talking to?
Well, I'm saying thank you to this Sally and now to this Sally. Yeah. I'm saying I think we need to wrap it, or else we could just be here for
We do.
hours
and
longer.
Again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we will wrap it up now, and I will see you for the next episode.
See you next time.
It's going to be fabulous also.
Amazing.
We'll see you later.
Okay, thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sally.
Thank you both very much.
Our pleasure.
Bye.
Wow, wasn't that another fantastic episode?
So much fun.
And Harry, none of this is possible without the fantastic help we've had from, take it away.
Shaquille Raymond, what a rock star audio engineer.
I like that. Martin Stevens, my husband, for his guitar prowess on the intros and outros. And Shani Power, who is doing all of the behind-the-scenes photos and design of everything to do with the Instagram posts. Thank you all so very much to help us get our podcast out.
We'll see you on the next one.
We will. It's been wonderful, Harry. Thanks, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye.